Imagine this. You're lying in bed, trying to fall asleep, and suddenly your brain whispers, "Hey, what if we explained the entire Greek creation myth, from chaos to the gods, in excruciatingly slow detail?" That's right. Tonight, you're not counting sheep. You're counting primordial beings, titans, Olympians, and the occasional one-eyed giant. And trust me, they're way more boring than sheep once you stretch their stories out long enough. Greek mythology is basically the world's oldest soap opera. It has family drama, betrayals, shocking plot twists, and even cosmic parenting fails. But unlike modern TV, there are no commercial breaks, just endless gods yelling at each other across the cosmos. We're going to take this myth and explain it so slowly that by the time Zeus is born, you'll already be halfway to dreamland. Think of this as history ASMR, but with thunderbolts. Why start with Greek mythology? Because the Greeks were obsessed with explaining everything. Why the sky is up there, why the earth is down here, why olive oil is delicious, and why gods keep eating their children. Their myths were bedtime stories for an entire civilization, and now they're bedtime stories for you. So buckle up or tuck in, because we're about to wander through the void of chaos. Meet Gaia, the Earth Mother. Watch Uranus, the sky, get awkwardly married to the ground, and eventually arrive at Zeus, the king of the gods. It's a journey from nothingness to divine drama, told at the pace of a snail sipping chamomile tea. Like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments from start till end, unless you're watching from Mount Olympus, in which case, please stop commenting and start polishing your thunderbolt. Before the gods, before the titans, before even the earth itself, there was chaos. Now, don't picture chaos like a messy room or a traffic jam. The Greek idea of chaos was far more dramatic. It was the great yawning void, the endless nothingness that existed before anything else. No sky, no sea, no land, no Netflix, just emptiness. The Greeks imagined chaos as the raw potential of existence. It wasn't a god with a personality, but more like a cosmic backdrop waiting for something to happen. Out of this vast nothingness, the first primordial beings slowly emerged, each one shaping the universe in its own way. From chaos came Gaia Earth, solid and dependable, the foundation upon which everything else would rest. Then came Tartarus, the deep abyss, a shadowy pit that would later serve as the prison for defeated gods. Alongside them appeared Eros, the force of attraction and love, because even in the void, something had to pull things together. Chaos also gave rise to Nyx Night and Erebus Darkness, who filled the emptiness with shadow and mystery. These beings weren't just characters in a story. They were forces shaping the very structure of the cosmos. Night and darkness gave the universe rhythm, while love gave it connection. It's important to remember that for the Greeks, this wasn't just myth, it was explanation. They looked at the world around them, the earth beneath their feet, the sky above, the shadows at dusk, and asked, where did all this come from? Chaos was their answer, the starting point, the blank canvas, the silence before the first note of a song. So, from nothingness came something, from emptiness came form, and slowly the stage was set for the arrival of Gaia, Uranus, and the generations of gods who would fill the world with drama, battles, and endless family squabbles. From the vast emptiness of chaos, the first true form began to take shape. Gaia, the earth. She was not simply soil and stone, but the living foundation of all existence. Where chaos was endless void, Gaia was stability. She stretched wide, giving the cosmos a place to stand, a surface to grow, and a home for everything yet to come. The Greeks imagined Gaia as both a goddess and the earth itself. She was nurturing, steady, and enduring. Unlike the fleeting shadows of Nyx or the deep abyss of Tartarus, Gaia was solid. She was the ground beneath the feet of gods and mortals alike, the eternal mother who carried the weight of creation. Gaia did not remain alone. From her came mountains, valleys, and fertile plains. She gave rise to rivers and streams, shaping the contours of the world. She was the source of abundance, the provider of food and shelter, the one who made life possible. In her presence, the universe was no longer just emptiness. It was a place where things could grow. But Gaia was more than landscape. She was a force of balance. Where chaos had been endless and undefined, Gaia brought order. She gave boundaries to the cosmos, grounding the heavens above and the abyss below. In her, the Greeks saw the eternal truth that life needs a foundation, a steady ground upon which everything else can rest. Her role as the Earth Mother would continue throughout mythology. She would give birth to Uranus, the sky, and together they would shape the next generation of beings. But even before that union, Gaia stood as the first great presence, the reminder that creation begins with stability. For the Greeks, Gaia was not distant. She was beneath their feet, in the crops they harvested, in the stones they built with, in the soil that sustained them. To honor Gaia was to honor the earth itself, the eternal mother who never ceased to give. After Gaia, the earth had stretched herself wide and steady. She longed for balance. What is the earth without the sky above it? What is ground without something to look up to? And so, from Gaia came Uranus, the sky. Uranus was vast, endless, and radiant. He was the dome of heaven, the canopy that arched over Gaia's surface. Where Gaia was solid and nurturing, Uranus was expansive and untouchable. Together, they formed the first great pair, earth below, sky above. The Greeks imagined Uranus not just as air or atmosphere, but as a divine presence. He was the glittering night filled with stars, the shifting clouds, the endless blue stretching across the day. He was both protective and overwhelming, pressing down upon Gaia, covering her completely. This union of earth and sky was more than symbolic. It was the beginning of structure in the cosmos. With Gaia beneath and Uranus above, the universe had boundaries. There was now a below and an above, a place to stand and a place to gaze. Creation was no longer shapeless, it had form. But Uranus was not always gentle. His vastness weighed heavily upon Gaia, pressing her children deep within her. Though he was born from her, his presence sometimes felt suffocating. This tension between earth and sky would set the stage for the next great dramas of mythology, the birth of the Titans, the struggles of their children, and the endless cycle of power between generations. Still, in these earliest days, Uranus was simply the sky itself, the stars twinkling at night, the clouds drifting lazily by day, the eternal ceiling above the world. He was the counterpart to Gaia, the balance to her foundation, the reminder that creation is always a partnership of opposites. With Gaia, the earth, stretching wide and steady, and Uranus, the sky, arching endlessly above, the cosmos finally had its first great partnership. Earth and sky were not just neighbors, they were bound together, inseparable, shaping the world in harmony. Gaia provided the foundation, the fertile soil, the mountains, and the valleys. Uranus provided the vast dome above, filled with stars and clouds, the endless ceiling that gave the world its sense of space. Together, they created balance, below and above, solid and infinite, nurturing and protective. From their union came life, not the small kind, but cosmic beings of immense power. Gaia and Uranus gave birth to the Titans, the first generation of mighty gods who would rule the universe. They also brought forth the Cyclopes, one-eyed giants with incredible skill in crafting, and the Hecatonchires, beings with 100 hands each, whose strength was beyond imagination. Yet, this union was not without tension. Uranus, vast and heavy, pressed down upon Gaia, keeping their children trapped within her. Gaia, though nurturing, grew weary of this burden. The seeds of conflict were planted, and the harmony of earth and sky began to crack. Still, in these earliest days, Gaia and Uranus stood as the first cosmic couple. Their union was the foundation of creation, the moment when the void of chaos became a living, breathing world. Earth and sky together gave shape to existence, setting the stage for the dramas, battles, and triumphs that would follow. From the union of Gaia, the earth, and Uranus, the sky, came the first great generation of divine beings, the Titans. These were not small children or playful spirits. They were immense, powerful figures who embodied the forces of nature and the structure of the cosmos. The Titans were 12 in number, each with their own domain and character. Among them were Oceanus, who represented the endless waters encircling the world; Hyperion, linked to the light of the sun; Themis, the embodiment of divine law and order; and Mnemosyne, the keeper of memory. There was also Cronus, the youngest and most ambitious, who would later play a central role in the great dramas of the gods. The Titans were majestic, but their existence was not peaceful. Uranus, fearful of their power, kept them pressed down within Gaia, refusing to let them roam freely. Gaia, burdened by the weight of her children trapped inside her, grew restless and sorrowful. The harmony between earth and sky began to fracture, and the seeds of rebellion were sown. Yet, in these earliest days, the Titans represented the grandeur of creation. They were the pillars of the universe, each one tied to a fundamental aspect of existence. Together, they gave shape to the world, the seas, the sun, the laws of nature, the cycles of time. They were the bridge between the primordial forces of chaos and the more familiar gods who would later rule Olympus. The birth of the Titans was not just the arrival of powerful beings. It was the moment when the cosmos gained structure. The Greeks saw in them the foundation of reality itself, the great forces that governed life and gave order to the universe. But beneath this order lay tension. Uranus's refusal to release his children would lead to conflict, and Cronus, the ambitious Titan, would soon rise against his father. The story of the Titans was only beginning, and their fate would shape the destiny of gods and mortals alike. The children of Gaia and Uranus, the mighty Titans, were powerful but restless. Uranus, fearful of their strength, kept them pressed down within Gaia, refusing to let them roam freely. Gaia, burdened by the weight of her children trapped inside her, grew weary and sorrowful. She longed for release, for balance, and for justice. Among her children was Cronus, the youngest of the Titans. Unlike his siblings, Cronus was ambitious, sharp, and willing to act. Gaia, desperate to free herself from Uranus's oppression, turned to Cronus with a plan. She fashioned a great sickle, a weapon of sharp stone, and placed it in his hands. Cronus accepted the task. When Uranus descended to lie upon Gaia, Cronus ambushed him. With the sickle he struck, cutting Uranus away from the earth. The sky was separated from the earth, and the children trapped within Gaia were finally freed. From this act, Cronus became the leader of the Titans. His siblings looked to him as their ruler, and the age of the Titans began. But the victory was not without consequence. From the blood of Uranus that fell upon the earth came new beings, the Erinyes, Furies, spirits of vengeance, the giants, fierce and wild, and the Malaya nymphs of the ash tree. From the sea foam that gathered around Uranus's severed form, the goddess Aphrodite would later emerge, a reminder that even violence could give birth to beauty. Cronus's rise marked a turning point in the cosmos. The Titans now ruled, and the universe entered a new age. Yet Uranus's voice lingered, cursing Cronus and warning him of a prophecy. Just as he had overthrown his father, one day his own child would rise against him. Cronus, though triumphant, carried this shadow of fate. His reign was strong, but it was built on fear. The cycle of power had begun, and the story of the gods would continue to unfold with new struggles, betrayals, and battles. Cronus, having overthrown his father Uranus, now sat upon the throne of the cosmos. He was the ruler of the Titans, the master of the heavens and the earth. Yet, even in his triumph, a shadow lingered. For Uranus, in his final moments, had spoken a curse: just as you have overthrown me, so too shall one of your children overthrow you. This prophecy weighed heavily on Cronus. He had seen how quickly power could shift, how easily a son could rise against his father. He knew that the cycle of rebellion was not finished, and that his own children might one day rise against him. Cronus married his sister Rhea, and together they began to have children. But each birth filled Cronus not with joy, but with dread. He feared the prophecy, feared the child who would one day take his throne. And so, in his paranoia, he devised a terrible solution. He swallowed each of his children the moment they were born. One by one, the children disappeared into Cronus's belly: Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. Rhea, heartbroken, watched as her children were devoured, powerless to stop him. The prophecy had twisted Cronus into a tyrant, a father who consumed his own legacy in a desperate attempt to cling to power. The prophecy was not just a curse, it was the rhythm of the cosmos. Fathers fell to sons, rulers gave way to new generations, and power shifted like the turning of seasons. Cronus's fear only ensured that the prophecy would come true, for in trying to prevent it, he set the stage for his downfall. Though Cronus swallowed each of his children to prevent the prophecy from coming true, fate was already weaving its threads. His wife, Rhea, grew weary of loss. Each time she gave birth, her joy was stolen as Cronus devoured the newborn, fearing that one day they would rise against him. The cosmos was filled with sorrow, for the children of the Titans were trapped inside their father, unable to see the light of day. But when Rhea prepared to give birth to her youngest child, she sought help. She turned to her parents, Gaia and Uranus, who advised her to hide the baby far away from Cronus's reach. When the child was born, Rhea swaddled a stone in cloth and handed it to Cronus. Without hesitation, he swallowed it, believing he had consumed yet another child. The real child, Zeus, was hidden in a cave on the island of Crete. There, he was nurtured in secret, Nymphs cared for him, feeding him milk from the goat Amalthea, while the Curetes, armed warriors, clashed their shields together to drown out the sound of his cries, so Cronus would never hear. Meanwhile, inside Cronus's belly, the swallowed children remained: Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. Though imprisoned, they were still alive, waiting for the day they would be freed. The birth of Zeus marked the turning point in the story of the gods. He was the child of prophecy, destined to challenge Cronus and bring about a new order. His survival meant that the Olympians, the future rulers of the cosmos, had begun to take shape. This moment was not just the birth of a single god, but the beginning of a new generation. The Olympians would rise, overthrow the Titans, and establish themselves as the eternal powers of Greek mythology. From the hidden cave in Crete, Zeus's cry was the first sound of rebellion, the first whisper of change, the first step toward the dawn of Olympus. Though Cronus believed he had swallowed every one of his children, the youngest, Zeus, had been saved by Rhea's clever trick. Instead of handing over her newborn, she had wrapped a stone in cloth and offered it to Cronus. He swallowed it without question, never realizing that the child of prophecy had slipped through his grasp. Hidden away on the island of Crete, Zeus grew in secret. Rhea entrusted him to the care of nymphs, who nurtured him with kindness and devotion. They fed him milk from the goat Amalthea, whose horns overflowed with abundance, and they sheltered him in a cave where no sound could escape. To protect the infant further, the Curetes, armored guardians, danced and clashed their shields together whenever Zeus cried. Their rhythmic noise drowned out his voice, ensuring that Cronus would never hear the sound of his son. In this way, Zeus was concealed, growing stronger each day while his father remained unaware. The cave itself became a sacred place, a hidden cradle of destiny. Within its shadows, Zeus learned resilience. He was raised not in luxury, but in secrecy, surrounded by loyal protectors who knew the importance of his survival. Every moment of his childhood carried the weight of prophecy, for he was destined to challenge Cronus and free his siblings from their prison inside their father's body. This period of hiding was more than survival, it was preparation. Zeus grew into a god of cunning and strength, shaped by the knowledge that he was the one who would bring change. The silence of the cave, the care of the nymphs, and the vigilance of the Curetes all ensured that the prophecy remained alive. Cronus, meanwhile, ruled in fear, never suspecting that the child who would one day overthrow him was already growing, waiting and watching. The balance of power was shifting, slowly but surely, and the hidden child of Crete was the key to the future. As Zeus grew strong in secret, the time came for him to face his father, Cronus. The prophecy that had haunted Cronus since the overthrow of Uranus was stirring, and the hidden child of Crete was ready to act. With the help of the goddess Metis, Zeus devised a plan. He confronted Cronus and gave him a potion that forced him to disgorge the children he had swallowed long ago. One by one, Zeus's siblings emerged: Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. Freed from their prison, they joined Zeus, forming a new generation of gods, the Olympians. Cronus, however, was not willing to surrender his throne. He rallied the Titans, his brothers and sisters, to stand against the Olympians. The cosmos was divided, the old order of the Titans against the rising power of the Olympians. Thus began the Titanomachy, the great war between Titans and Olympians. The battles shook the heavens and the earth. The Titans fought with immense strength, wielding the raw forces of nature. The Olympians, though younger, fought with cunning and powerful weapons. The Cyclopes, grateful for their freedom, forged gifts for the Olympians. Zeus received his thunderbolts, Poseidon his mighty trident, and Hades his helm of invisibility. The Hecatonchires, with their 100 hands, hurled stones with unstoppable force, joining the Olympians in their struggle. The war was not quick. It lasted for 10 long years, a clash of generations, a struggle for the future of the cosmos. Each side fought with determination, neither willing to yield. The skies thundered, the earth trembled, and the seas roared as the Titans and Olympians battled for supremacy. The Titanomachy was more than a war. It was the turning of an age. The old powers resisted change, while the new gods fought to establish their place. The outcome would decide the fate of the universe, shaping the myths and stories that would echo through time. The freeing of Zeus's siblings marked the beginning of a conflict unlike any the cosmos had ever seen. The Olympians, young and determined, stood together against their father Cronus and the mighty Titans, who had ruled since the overthrow of Uranus. The balance of the universe trembled as 2 generations of gods prepared for war. The Titans, led by Cronus, fought with the raw power of age and tradition. They were immense, ancient beings tied to the very forces of nature. Their strength was formidable, and their numbers vast. Cronus believed that his rule was eternal, and he would not surrender it without a fight. The Olympians, though younger, had allies. The Cyclopes, freed from imprisonment, forged weapons of incredible power: Zeus's thunderbolts, Poseidon's trident, and Hades's helm of invisibility. The Hecatonchires, with their 100 hands, hurled stones with unstoppable force, shaking the earth with their fury. These allies gave the Olympians strength beyond their years. The battles raged across the heavens and the earth. The skies thundered with Zeus's bolts. The seas roared with Poseidon's trident, and the shadows of the underworld stirred with Hades's helm. The Titans fought back with relentless force, wielding the primal energies of the cosmos. For 10 long years, neither side yielded. The war was not only a clash of weapons, but of ideals. The Titans represented the old order, the ancient powers that had shaped the world. The Olympians represented change, a new generation rising to claim its place. The Titanomachy was the turning of an age, the struggle between tradition and renewal. As the years passed, the Olympians grew stronger. Their unity, their cunning, and their divine weapons began to tip the balance. The Titans, though mighty, could not withstand the combined force of the new gods and their allies. The war was reaching its climax, and the fate of the cosmos hung in the balance. For 10 long years, the war between the Titans and the Olympians raged across the cosmos. The skies thundered, the seas roared, and the earth trembled under the weight of their battles. Each side fought with determination, neither willing to yield. But slowly, the tide began to turn. The Olympians, led by Zeus, grew stronger with each passing year. Their unity gave them power, and their divine weapons gave them an edge. Zeus hurled thunderbolts that split the sky. Poseidon shook the seas with his trident, and Hades cloaked himself in shadows with his helm of invisibility. Together they struck fear into the hearts of the Titans. The Cyclopes, grateful for their freedom, continued to forge weapons of immense strength. The Hecatonchires, with their 100 hands, hurled stones with unstoppable force, overwhelming the Titans with sheer might. The Olympians were no longer the younger, weaker generation. They had become a force that could not be denied. Cronus and the Titans fought valiantly, but their strength was fading. The old order was crumbling, and the prophecy that had haunted Cronus since the overthrow of Uranus was coming true. The cycle of power was repeating itself, the sun rising against the father, the new gods replacing the old. At last, the Olympians triumphed. The Titans were defeated, their reign brought to an end. Zeus and his siblings cast them down into Tartarus, the deep abyss, where they were imprisoned forever. The Hecatonchires stood guard, ensuring that the Titans could never escape. The defeat of the Titans was more than a victory. It was the dawn of a new age. The Olympians had claimed their place as rulers of the cosmos. The heavens, the earth, and the seas were theirs to command. The prophecy had been fulfilled, and the cycle of rebellion had brought forth a new order. The cosmos, once torn by war, began to settle. The Titans were gone, the Olympians had risen, and the stage was set for the next chapter in the story of the gods. With the Titans defeated and cast into the depths of Tartarus, the cosmos stood at a turning point. The long war was over, the old order had fallen, and a new generation of gods was ready to rise. At the center of this new age stood Zeus, the child who had once been hidden in a cave, the son who had defied Cronus, and the leader who had guided the Olympians to victory. Zeus was not simply another god. He was the embodiment of authority, justice, and power. His thunderbolts, forged by the Cyclopes, had split the skies during the Titanomachy, and now they became the symbol of his rule. The heavens themselves seemed to recognize his strength, echoing with the sound of storms whenever he raised his hand. The Olympians looked to Zeus as their leader. His siblings, Poseidon, Hades, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia, acknowledged his wisdom and his ability to unite them. Though each had their own domain and power, it was Zeus who held the throne, guiding the new order of gods. The victory over the Titans was not just a triumph of battle, it was the fulfillment of prophecy. Cronus had feared that one of his children would overthrow him, and indeed, Zeus had risen to take his place. The cycle of rebellion had repeated, but now it brought stability. Zeus's reign marked the beginning of a new era, one where the Olympians would shape the destiny of gods and mortals alike. Zeus's kingship was more than power, it was responsibility. He was the guardian of law and order, the protector of justice, and the ruler who balanced the forces of the cosmos. His throne upon Olympus was not merely a seat of command, but a symbol of harmony between heaven and earth. Thus, Zeus became king of the gods, the ruler of Olympus, the master of thunder and sky. His reign would define the myths to come, guiding the stories of heroes, mortals, and gods for generations. The age of the Olympians had truly begun. With the Titans defeated and Zeus crowned as king of the gods, the universe stood ready to be organized. The chaos of war had ended, but the cosmos was vast, and it needed order. Zeus and his brothers, Poseidon and Hades, gathered to decide how the realms of existence would be divided among them. The three brothers understood that balance was essential. No single god could rule everything, for power concentrated in one place would only lead to conflict. Instead, they agreed to share the cosmos, each taking a domain that reflected their nature and strength. Zeus, wielder of thunder and storms, claimed the sky. From the heavens, he would rule as king, watching over gods and mortals alike. Poseidon, master of the trident, took the sea. The oceans, rivers, and all waters belonged to him. His realm was vast and unpredictable, filled with storms and calm alike, reflecting his own tempestuous nature. Hades, cloaked in shadows, accepted the underworld. He became the ruler of the realm of the dead, a place hidden beneath the earth where souls would journey after life. Though his domain was dark, it was essential, for it gave balance to existence. The division was not a quarrel, but a pact. Each brother accepted his role, and together they ensured that the cosmos would remain in harmony. The earth itself, Gaia, remained neutral, supporting all realms, while the heavens, seas, and underworld were governed by the three sons of Cronus. This division marked the beginning of the Olympian order. The gods now had their places, their responsibilities, and their powers. The cosmos was no longer a battlefield, but a structured world, with each realm ruled by its rightful master. The Greeks saw this division as the foundation of their mythology. The sky, the sea, and the underworld were not just natural features, they were living realms, shaped by divine rulers. Every storm, every wave, every shadow carried the presence of Zeus, Poseidon, or Hades. Thus, the cosmos was divided, balanced, and secured. The age of the Olympians had truly begun, and the universe was ready for the stories of gods, heroes, and mortals that would follow. When the cosmos was divided among the three brothers, Zeus claimed the sky, Hades took the underworld, and Poseidon was given the vast and endless seas. From that moment, Poseidon became the master of the oceans, rivers, and all waters that flowed across the earth. His trident, forged by the Cyclopus, was both a weapon and a symbol of his dominion. The Greeks imagined Poseidon as a powerful, tempestuous god. His moods were reflected in the waters he ruled. When he was calm, the seas were gentle, waves lapping softly against the shore. But when anger stirred within him, storms rose, waves crashed, and ships trembled upon the waters. His trident could shatter rocks, stir whirlpools, and summon earthquakes, reminding mortals of the sea's unpredictable nature. Poseidon's realm was immense. It stretched beyond the horizon, touching every coastline, every river, every stream. He was not confined to the ocean alone. All waters belonged to him. Sailors prayed to him for safe passage. Fishermen honored him for their catch, and cities built temples to appease his power. Yet Poseidon was not only a god of destruction, he was also a creator. With his trident, he shaped islands and coastlines, bringing forth new lands from the sea. He was a builder as much as a destroyer, a reminder that the waters could give life as easily as they could take it away. Among the Olympians, Poseidon's role was vital. The seas connected the world, carrying ships, trade, and travelers. His power ensured that the oceans were never silent, always alive with movement and mystery. To the Greeks, Poseidon was both protector and threat, a god to be respected, feared, and honored. Thus, Poseidon ruled the seas, his trident in hand, his domain stretching endlessly across the earth. His reign was a balance of calm and storm, creation and destruction, reflecting the eternal nature of the waters themselves. When the cosmos was divided among the three brothers, Zeus claimed the sky, Poseidon took the seas, and Hades was given the underworld. Though his realm was hidden beneath the earth, it was vast, mysterious, and essential to the balance of existence. The underworld was not simply a place of shadows, it was the destination of all souls after death. Mortals, no matter their station in life, would eventually journey to Hades's domain. There the rivers flowed with strange power, the Styx, the river of oaths, the Lethe, the river of forgetfulness, and the Acheron, the river of sorrow. Each stream carried meaning, shaping the fate of those who crossed them. Hades ruled with quiet authority, unlike Zeus, who thundered from the sky, or Poseidon, who stirred storms upon the sea. Hades was calm, steady, and unyielding. His helm of invisibility, gifted by the Cyclopes, symbolized his hidden power. He did not seek attention, but his presence was felt in every shadow, every silence, every ending. The Greeks did not see Hades as evil. He was stern, yes, and his realm was somber, but he was necessary. Without him, the cycle of life and death would be incomplete. He ensured that the dead had a place to go, that the world above was not overwhelmed by restless spirits. His rule gave order to mortality, reminding mortals of the inevitability of death and the importance of balance. Within his realm, Hades was accompanied by figures who helped maintain order. The ferryman Charon carried souls across the rivers, while the three-headed hound Cerberus guarded the gates, ensuring no soul escaped. Judges of the dead decided the fate of each spirit, sending them to the fields of punishment, the meadows of Asphodel, or the blessed Elysian plains. Though Hades's domain was feared, it was respected. Mortals honored him with offerings, knowing that one day they would enter his realm. His rule was not about cruelty, but inevitability. He was the keeper of endings, the guardian of balance, the silent ruler beneath the earth. Thus, Hades ruled the underworld, his throne hidden in shadow, his power quiet but absolute. His domain was eternal, reminding gods and mortals alike that death was not chaos, but order, the final step in the rhythm of existence. Even as Zeus ruled the heavens, Poseidon commanded the seas, and Hades governed the underworld. One presence remained eternal and unshaken, Gaia, the earth. She was the foundation beneath them all, the mother who had given birth to the Titans, the giants, and even the Olympians themselves. Though her children now ruled the cosmos, Gaia's role was never diminished. Gaia was not a throne seeker, nor a warrior in the Titanomachy. She was the ground itself, the soil that nourished crops, the mountains that touched the sky, the valleys that cradled rivers. Mortals walked upon her, gods stood upon her, and every living thing depended on her strength. She was the silent power, always present, always enduring. The Greeks saw Gaia as more than landscape. She was the eternal mother, the source of abundance and stability. When mortals prayed for fertile harvests, they honored Gaia. Gaia stirred in anger. From her came the giants, born to challenge the Olympians. Without Gaia, there would be no sky, no sea, no underworld, only emptiness. She was the heart of existence, the eternal earth. With the Titans defeated and the cosmos divided among the three brothers, the Olympians sought a place to gather, to rule, and to dwell. That place became Mount Olympus, the sacred mountain that rose high above the earth, its peaks hidden in clouds, its summit shining with divine light. Olympus was not just a mountain, it was the heart of the new order. From its lofty heights, the gods could look down upon the world, watching over mortals and guiding the balance of nature. It was a realm apart, untouched by storms or decay, a place of eternal beauty where the gods lived in harmony. Here, Zeus established his throne, seated among the clouds, his thunderbolts at his side. Around him gathered the other Olympians, Hera, his queen, radiant and proud, Poseidon, lord of the seas, Hades, ruler of the underworld, who visited only rarely, and the others, Demeter, Hestia, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Ares, Aphrodite, Hermes, and Hephaestus, each with their own domain, each with their own power. On Olympus, the gods feasted together, drinking nectar and eating ambrosia, the food of immortality. Their halls were filled with music and laughter, yet also with counsel and debate. From this mountain, they decided the fate of mortals, intervened in wars, blessed heroes, and punished those who defied them. The establishment of Olympus marked the true beginning of the Olympian age. No longer were the gods scattered or hidden. They now had a home, a court, and a throne. Olympus became the symbol of divine authority, the eternal seat of power, and the place where myths unfolded. For mortals, Olympus was both distant and near. Though its peaks were unreachable, its presence was felt in every storm, every harvest, every victory. The gods were not far away. They were watching, ruling, and shaping the world from their shining mountain. Thus, Mount Olympus was established, the eternal dwelling of the gods, the place where immortality lived, and the center of the cosmos. From its heights, the Olympians ruled, and the stories of heroes and mortals began to intertwine with the will of the divine. At the very beginning, before there was earth, sky, or sea, there was only chaos. It was not chaos as we imagine today, not noise or confusion, but a vast emptiness, a yawning void, a space without form or boundary. From that silence, the first powers emerged. Gaia, the earth, steady and nurturing; Uranus, the sky, vast and radiant; and others who shaped the earliest rhythms of existence. From Gaia and Uranus came the Titans, immense beings tied to the forces of nature. They were the first rulers, the pillars of the cosmos. Yet their reign was marked by tension, for Uranus feared his children and sought to keep them hidden. Gaia, burdened by this, turned to her son Cronus, who rose against his father and began the age of the Titans. But the cycle of power did not end there. Cronus himself was cursed by prophecy that one of his children would overthrow him. In fear, he swallowed each newborn, trapping them inside his body. Yet his wife Rhea saved the youngest, Zeus, by tricking Cronus with a stone wrapped in cloth. Hidden in a cave on Crete, Zeus grew strong, nurtured in secret, destined to fulfill the prophecy. When the time came, Zeus confronted Cronus. With the help of Metis, he forced his father to release his siblings, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. Together, they formed the new generation of gods, the Olympians. What followed was the Great War of the Titanomachy, a battle between the old order and the new. For 10 years, the Titans and Olympians clashed, shaking the heavens and the earth. The Olympians, aided by the Cyclopes and the Hecatonchires, grew stronger. Zeus hurled thunderbolts, Poseidon wielded his trident, and Hades cloaked himself in shadows. At last, the Titans were defeated, cast into Tartarus, and guarded forever. With victory secured, the cosmos was divided. Zeus took the sky, Poseidon the seas, and Hades the underworld. Gaia remained the eternal earth, the foundation of all. From this balance, the Olympians established their home upon Mount Olympus, a shining realm above the clouds where they feasted, ruled, and watched over mortals. Thus, the story came full circle, from the emptiness of chaos to the order of the gods. Each generation had risen, struggled, and fallen, but the cosmos endured. The Olympians became the eternal rulers, shaping myths, guiding mortals, and weaving the stories that would echo through time. This journey from chaos to Gaia, from Uranus to Cronus, from Cronus to Zeus, is not only the tale of gods, but the rhythm of existence itself. It is the reminder that creation begins in silence, grows through struggle, and finds balance in harmony. And now, as the story closes, let it settle like the stars above. The gods rest upon Olympus. The seas roll gently under Poseidon's watch. The underworld lies quiet under Hades's care, and the sky glimmers with Zeus's eternal light. The earth, Gaia, cradles it all, steady and timeless. The myths remind us that even in chaos, order can be born. Even in struggle, harmony can be found. And even in endings, new beginnings wait quietly. And so, the tale drifts to its end. From the void of chaos to the shining halls of Olympus, the journey of the gods has been told. Let the thunder fade, let the seas grow calm, let the shadows rest. The cosmos is quiet now, balanced and whole. Close your eyes, breathe softly, and let the story linger like a dream. The gods watch from their mountain, the stars twinkle above, and the earth holds you gently. Good night.